He's done with that place.
Ikaramikagi. Welcome. Ikaramikagi Vina. Welcome back. Tonight we have a really good story. And these are all the Wigwas Bakun, as you can see here. This is one of the replications of the original. And this story tonight we call Titi Pa Ta Nishtagwan, Rolling Head. Okay, now I want to let the viewers know, especially if there's young people, there's death in this story, decapitation, and infidelity. Okay, so to the adults, this is just another day, huh? In the magazine, in the news. Well, what's interesting, I wanted to make a point with this one. Now, there was no date, but these are all notable instances of things that went on. I don't think it's went on normally, but in unusual circumstances, because there's magic too. There's magic, wizards, powerful beings in this this story. Okay, so yeah, let's go down here. I don't know the date. I replicated this one in the corner. Up, go back more, up higher. 9, what is that? Zoom out.
1875. 1875.
I think it's 1975. Yeah, 1976 maybe. Oh, that's 5, okay. Mishomas. Miscomas. Okay. Okay. Miscomen. Mishomas is horn. Okay. All right. We'll start the story. So this is these scrolls are again mnemonic, what they call mnemonic, means they're pictograph form, and they go through a series of pictographs. Some are grouped together, some aren't. They have individual symbols and things in there, and so throughout the storyline here, it tells a story. So we'll start. Long time ago, there was this hunter here. Zoom out a little bit. It's almost too blurry. There we go. Thank you. Miigwech. There was this hunter, and he had a wife and 2 boys who loved their father very much because he was so immersed in his hunting. And he was a very well-known hunter because he was very successful in his endeavors. Okay. And so oftentimes he would leave at the break of dawn, early in the morning, when it was a little bit light, and he would return in the evening time. And there his sons would be waiting for him, anxiously waiting for him. And of course, his wife. Okay. Let's move along here. One day, as he went hunting, thinking about the hunt. Right here, he's thinking about the hunt. Nothing else, because his family seems to be well. Well, one day he gets back home, and the boys, they're crying. They're crying, and they says, and and his wife's gone. His wife is gone, and they're crying. He says, "What's the matter? What's the matter? Here, let's sit down. Here." And he stirred the fire here and got the fire going, and the one he laid down, the younger one, he laid down and he slept, and he asked the older boy, and he said, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" "Oh, father," he said, "every time you leave in the morning, sometimes mom cooks for us, makes us a meal. Sometimes she doesn't. And she'll spend a greater amount of time. Boy, she just combs her hair, combs it, and she makes a nice long braid. And then she'll take berry juice and she'll just put it on her cheeks, right here on her cheeks. Then she'll take some and rub it on her lips to make her lips all red and nice looking," he said. He said, "Pretty soon she'll go. She'll head out." "Oh," he said, "when does she come back?" "Well, sometimes right before you get home." "Oh," he said, "why?" "We don't know. She tells us to stay right here." And so me and brother, we just play around the lodge. She leaves some food, but we wait for you to come back. Okay. Sure enough, in a short time, here his wife comes in to the lodge, into the wigwam, and she, "Oh, you're back early," she said. "Well, that's doesn't happen very often," she said. She said, "Did you make the boy something to eat?" "Yeah," she said. "I put the little one down. He was so tired. They were crying." "Oh, they're always crying for you," she said. "They're always crying for you." And here the oldest son laid down, and pretty soon everything was quiet. They didn't talk hardly at all. And pretty soon they were asleep. Well, the next day, here the hunter again left early in the morning, leaving. And here he left. This time, he only went a short distance, and here he crouched down and he hid in the bushes, right across from the front of the lodge where he could see anything. Could hear his boys in there bustling around, moving around. "Mommy, I'm hungry." "Be quiet," she said. "I'll get you something to eat," she said. And pretty soon, she said, pretty soon there was a man who come down the path. Here he waited by the lodge, and sure enough, he seen his wife coming out, and the man grabbed her hand. Here they walked off together. Some strange man. Oh, so it's true, the hunter thought. My wife's with a different man. And he sat down and he thought for a while. He thought, this isn't good. This has been going on. My gosh. He waited till they came back, and here he attacked the man. He attacked the man with his war club, his pomade, hit him in the head, knocked him down, killed him right there. Right there. Then he went over to his wife. She said, no, stop it. And here he went up to her too. Bang, right in the head. Killed her. Took his knife out of his sheet there and cut her head right off like that. Well, anyway, so here he dug a hole. Not very deep here. He buried them both in there, in the head too. Okay. Here he went into the lodge. Good thing his sons didn't see any of this. because he had attacked him and killed him up on the trail more. Come back, sat with his sons. He said, tonight is our last night together. It's our last night together. Why, Dad? And why isn't Mom here? Oh, she's not coming back. Really? Why? Because your mom's been bad. Mom's been bad. And so she said, tomorrow you and your brother are going to have to go on a long trip. And I'm going to give you something, but tomorrow I'll give it to you. And in the meantime, you guys here, have something to eat. Don't worry about your mom. And I'm here. I'll be here tonight. So they went to sleep. Here that night, he slept with his boys and he hugged his boys tight. Tell him, I love you. Don't ever forget about me. Said, I tried to be a good father, he said. I tried to be a good father to you boys. He said, I'm sorry. I always was away hunting, he said. My gosh, the next morning, he took him west on the trail, took him west. And here, he didn't take his bow or anything. Here, he said, here he gave him a bag. He said, I want you to take this bag, he said, this little bag, he said, and here's a bigger bag, he said, here's some food, and here's an extra pair of moccasins. I don't know how far you're going to go, he said, but he said, you guys walk all day, follow this trail, take you someplace safe. And here, the boys looked in the bag. Huh, this is odd. Here inside of it was a little thorn. A little thorn comes off a thorn apple tree. Another one was a piece of stone, but a special piece of stone. The Ishkodenosin, the flint stone, the firestone. And the other was a key, some dirt. What's this for, Dad? He said, this is awful powerful medicine. He said, if somebody comes chasing you, he said, you just throw one of these down, he said, on the trail. He said, that'll prevent them from catching you, coming any further. He said, if you get scared. He said, now watch as the sun goes down, he said, today, he said, if the sky becomes all red, he says, know that your mom's relatives have killed me, he said, out of revenge, he said, for what I did to her. And perhaps that man's, her boyfriend's family killed me, she said, but I'll put up a fight. So he was telling them this there. And so here is the little bag of medicine carrying those three objects to brother. And here is the soul of this being here, that one of them that was killed. Okay, let's go back to the start here. My gosh, the boys said goodbye to their dad, and he went back to their lodge. Like that. And the boys said goodbye. It was a good day. Sure enough, towards the end of that day here, sure enough, as the sun was setting, it was all red. The sky was all red. Oh, they put their hands down, the heads down, they held hands. Oh, my little brother, big brother, he said, our dad's gone. Our dad is no more, he said. He's no more walking this earth. So they stopped and camped there. The next day, they started walking down the trail, but they had something to eat out of their food bag. They had something to eat. Here, about halfway through the day here, going down the trail here, they heard this clump, 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 clump. And so both sides were covered with bushes, and they stopped and they looked, what's that noise? Big brother, I don't know, he said. Clump, 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 clump. And here they looked back, and here they seen their mother's head come rolling down the trail. Her hair just flying. My boys, Daga. He was in Sanan. Away, Diga. Oh, they said. Oh, she said. Stop, come back home. And the boys looked in terror and here, in terror, here they seen their mother's head rolling down the trail. It's like, oh, wow, that's so creepy. And so the boy reached into the bag, and the first thing he pulled up was this little thorn bush. And here he got scared. He threw it down. You remember what his dad said? Here he threw it down on the trail, and right away, up from the trail grew this big, tall thorn bush. All right, we'll stop for now. We got people coming in. We should have waited. Pin again. Anish down. There's cups right there, Richard. All right, 2 more kids. 2 girls. Oh yeah, she's a strong girl, aren't you? Don't be. Give me 5. 5. Yeah. Okay. Come in. We're telling a scary story. Yeah. Kind of. Here, sit over here so you can see better. Okay. Over here. Here, go over there go sit by that old lady there. Is this your other daughter?
Yeah.
Oh, she looks just like mom.
You guys want to see the bed?
Okay, the name of this story is Titi Pita. Nish Taguan. Titi Pita means rolling head. Okay, let me just really go quickly and bring you up to speed on this story, because already it's getting exciting. So there's this hunter. He's got a beautiful wife and 2 boys. Okay, 2 boys. All right, but he's gone all day. His job is to hunt, but he leaves at sunrise and he comes home at sunset. He's always gone, and his thoughts are always with hunting. Okay, let's move it this way a little bit. Well, one day he comes home a little bit early and the wife isn't there, but the boys, his sons, are crying. You know how boys are, they just cry. Huh? Where's mom? I want my mommy. So anyway, he takes care of them and mother comes back, but the older brother says, well, mom leaves all the time, and every time she leaves, there's a man with her. She meets a strange man. When you're gone, Dad. Really? He said, yeah. So the next day, he goes off as usual early in the morning, but this time he hides in the bushes. And sure enough, Ma comes out. Boys' mom comes out. Here her hair was nice and combed. She'd put berry juices on her cheeks, you know, on her lips. They didn't have lipstick back then. She walks away with this man. He waits until they are coming down the trail. Here he attacks that man and kills him, his wife's lover. And then he turns his pomog, his war club, towards her, kills her too. Okay. When she's laying on the ground, and here he takes his knife and he cuts her head off. So that way her spirit can't go into the heaven, can't go into the spirit world, dismember them. So anyway, that night he tells his boys that he's going to spend tonight with them, but tomorrow they have to leave. And he gives them 2 bags. One's a food bag and one's a medicine bag. And that medicine bag has a thorn in it, a piece of flintstone, and some dirt in this little bag. Okay. He said, use this medicine wisely. If something's coming down the trail and tries to harm you, you take one of these out and throw them on the path. He said, it'll protect you. He also tells them that at the end of the day, look at the setting of the sun. If the sky becomes bright red, know that your wife's family or her lover's family have killed me, she said, and I will no longer walk the earth. Okay, let's go back to this one. And so he said goodbye to them, and he went back on the trail where their lodge was. And they spent all day. And sure enough, at the end of the day, they seen the sky was all red as the sun went down. And they stopped, and that's where they camped. And they were lonely because they knew their dad had entered the spirit world. It was no longer alive. Okay. This is about when you guys came in. So next day, about halfway through the day, they're walking, and all of a sudden, and there's bushes on each side, they can't really look, but they're in a big forest. And they hear this sound, clump, 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 clump. Boys get scared. Brothers, what is that? I don't know. And here they look up the trail. Here's what comes wobbling down the trail. Is a rolling head. And they look, and it's, oh my gosh, they said, that's Mom's head. That's Mom's head rolling down. And the boys, they kind of freak out, and they don't know what to do, but they're scared, And so the older brother remembers the little bag, and he reaches in the bag and he grabs in there, and here he pulls out a thorn and he throws it down on the trail, and here springs up this big thorn bush. And just by then, the head rolls right into the thorn bush, and her hair gets all caught in the thorns, and she can't move. Dogga, he was this and odds. Please, my boys. Come to me. And the boys freak out, and they run down the trail. Here, let's move this along a little bit here. And then they're out of breath. They look back and they say, I think we're safe now. Did you see that? Yeah. Was that Mom's head? Yeah. Oh my gosh. So they just look at each other and thought, man, that was creepy. I don't know if that's the word they use, but pretty soon they went walking along and holding hands, and all of a sudden they heard this clump, 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 clump. And here they look back, And here they see their mother's head there, that rolling head coming down the path faster and faster. And the boys say, let's run. And about that time, the older brother, he reaches into the bag, and this time he finds the stone. And he throws it down on the trail. And because it's an Ishkodenasin, a firestone, a flint stone, here a big flame, fire just jumps up from the ground. And here the rolling head runs into the fire, but it rolls back out. And it was rolling around trying to put its hair off out of flame. It's like catching it on fire. And the boys again run. This is about evening time. This happens. So here the sun is going down. Most of the day's gone. And here, again, after everything has gotten quiet and they think finally we got rid of that rolling head, that creepy rolling head. I don't know, that little brother said, if I'm going to sleep good tonight, can I sleep with you, brother? This is kind of scary. Sure, he said, I'll be with you. And just as they were walking away here, they heard this clump, 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 clump. And they look back, and sure enough, here's that rolling head, but it doesn't have much hair on it, right? It's been all singed from the fire. And they roll down, and the little brother takes off, and the big brother reaches in, and there's nothing but dirt. And Harry throws down that dirt on the trail. And all of a sudden, a big hill just sprouts right up. Big hill, and here the head hits that and kind of rolls up against it, rolls off, and it covers the whole trail. And here they head out. And finally the bushes kind of end, and they go through the woods here. And so this part here you see, this denotes that these people are dead. They're upside down. Means on the old grave markers a long time ago, if an animal or a clan person was upside down on that grave marker or drawn in a pictograph like this upside down, means they've passed on. Okay. So I forgot about that. So let's go on. Soon the brothers, they come by a lake. And here they sit down to rest, and they're looking out at the lake. It's getting part of late afternoons, and it's hot out. And they sit on the beach, and they look back, and here, checking back behind them once in a while, thinking, oh, I hope that rolling head got blocked and can't get at us anymore. And here all of a sudden a mist forms on the backside of the lake. And they're looking at it, and the mist seems to be coming across the lake. Is there more? Okay. So here they see coming out of the mist, they see this Jimon, this canoe coming. And there's this old man, and right above him there's this black crow, this black raven. Caw, 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 caw. Flying over this old man, and he's flying over here, and here this old man says, hurry, he said, hurry, get in the canoe, hurry, get in the canoe. And so the boys swim out there. The older brother gets out there, and he knows how to swim. But here the younger brother don't know how to swim. and he calls his brother. He said, "Wait, brother, wait." So the older brother gets in the canoe, and sure enough, here, let's go back a little bit. There you go. All of a sudden, from the canoe, here they hear this clomp, 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 clomp. It's the rolling head again. Oh my gosh. And the little boy's freaking out because he's on the lake shore by himself and his brother's in the canoe. And he wants to get out there, but he can't. And here the little boy kicks the rolling head because he's coming up right to him, and he kicks the rolling head like that. And here it splashes in the water. And here the old man takes out his bow and shoots it. Bah, the arrow goes right into the head. There, that head just sinks down into the water. That's it for the rolling head. It's gone. Yeah. So the boy his brother's still calling for him. And here this crow comes over, and he's circling around him. And the boy, he kind of just right above him, and the boy's kind of going like this, trying to, like it's going to bite him or fly on his head, and he falls down. And all of a sudden, the boy starts changing. And he becomes, all of a sudden, transformed into a little wolf. Yeah. So the crow changes him into a little wolf. Oh, brother. Ooh. And he can't go out there. And here this old man, he takes the brother way to the other side of the lake, and here the mist envelops them. And the little boy wolf, he loses sight of him, and he just stays there. But the brother hears us howling. Here as they go through the mist, they approach a little island out in the middle of the lake. And here, standing on the shore, is this girl. And she helps bring in the canoe, and the old man calls her daughter. Okay, so that must be her father here, this old guy. He said, "I brought you company," he said. "I brought you company, a guest," he said. "He's going to be staying with us," he said. And so the old man, he left. And here on top of this hill, on this island, was their lodge like that. And so his days were spent with the daughter, and all they did all day long was cast their nets into the water, and then they would bring their nets in and empty the fish, and do that day after day. Then they would clean the fish, and they would hang them up on racks and dry the fish meat. Some of it they would smash on the rocks, pulverize it into little bits. Some they would cook and stuff, and they would prepare all this. But his thoughts were always about his little brother, who had been changed from a boy into a wolf. He was always thinking about his brother, how his brother was, if he'd ever see his brother again. Well, time went by, and this boy, he started getting older, become a young man. And this old man, his daughter became a young woman. And yeah. So when this happened, the old man overheard the boy talking to the young woman, says, I know how to swim. I'm going to swim to the shore now that I'm old enough and strong enough. I know I can make it to the shore. And the old man heard this one evening, them talking. So he went into that room where the boy slept, and he took all his clothes, even his moccasins, everything, every bit of clothes he had, and he threw them into the fire, burned all his clothes up. The boy got up. He had no clothes, nothing, no clothes at all. And he looked around when he got up, and he said, "Where's my clothes? Where's my moccasins? Where's my pants? Where's my shirt?" The old man says, "I overheard you saying you're going to try to leave." He said, "So I burned all your clothes." And the boy, he was upset. So the boy, he stayed. And so in time, these two became acquainted, the young woman and the boy. And one day, or the young man, and one day, the young woman says, "If you leave the island, take me with you. Don't leave me here. I don't want to stay here. My father is evil." For I never wanted to say this before, but since you got here, but he does evil things. He does bad things to people. He says, "Take me with you." And so they talked this out, and they stayed longer until they figured they had a chance. Well, one day they had a big feast and they were eating, and that old man, he filled up, and he said, "My age has gotten to me," he said. "I feel like I'm going to take a good rest tonight, a long rest." And so he fell asleep. Well, that night, the daughter snuck into his room where he stayed in the lodge, snuck in very quietly, because always in his room was this crow. But they had planned it out before. Not only did the old man feast and get full, but also the crow. Made sure she kept giving him pieces of fish, and the crow ate and ate until it actually fell over, and he was trying to get back up, but the crow's belly was so big he couldn't get back up, and he fell asleep. So his daughter snuck in there, and he grabbed his clothes, all of his clothes. They put it in the fire, burned them. Okay. Bring it along here, bring it along. All right. They burnt them in the fire. Okay. They jumped in his old canoe and they made it back to the shore. And there he looked for his brothers. He looked for his brother. And they hollered at him. And pretty soon they heard this. Ooh. Can you make sound of the wolf? Huh? You can, huh? Try it. Can you make sound? Adelaide. Ooh. Okay. And here, as the wolf came running out, here he changed back in to a boy. For the spell had been broken now, because the old man, the wicked old man, was dead. He was left on the island, and the boy changed back into his self, and they embraced each other. And so the three of them, they became very close, and from there, they went on, and they were together as a new family. Yeah. Yeshua, hasta the end. Okay. Huh? Yeah. So what'd you think of it?
Why did that?
Huh?
Why was that so?
She was hoping, the head was hoping to be put back with the head, the body. That's what her boys, why she wanted her boys to be reconnected. Not just with her sons, but with her body. Because the old tale was that that sometimes that's how bad spirits came. They became what they call bujkani, and a lot of times their bodies were mutilated, or they had other business, or they died a bad death somehow, and they couldn't go on into the spirit world. So they had to be connected again. Otherwise, they were fated to stay here. Yeah. So, what'd you think about the story? Hmm? Oh, was it good? Are you going to have nightmares tonight? Good. Huh? Clump, 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 clump. Yeah. Okay.
How did you learn to interpret symbols?
They're mnemonic. Their mnemonic is just by looking at these symbols and their groupings. You hear the story and you kind of understand what's going on. And they're always read from right to left. Yeah. And then start over here again. That's unlike if you were to read a book, they start on this side, you know. Yeah.
Tribal, it's like Arabic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the Egyptian scrolls are that way too. I don't, yeah. So, is it? Yeah. So the symbols help you remember the details of the story. So that's all it is. I mean, you can memorize the story, but sometimes you leave out details or important details. I hadn't told this story for a while, so I forgot what was all in that little pouch that their father had given them. So I had to actually look here. Here's the little pouch. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And still, I couldn't actually get it too much. I seen that one look like a pencil, but a stick. But here, if you come up here on the second one, so the first encounter was a thorn bush. You could see it. So that must have been a thorn needle sticking out. And then the other was a fire. And this must have been that flintstone. And then the other, I wasn't sure about, but then I thought, oh, it must be the earth, part of the ground, making a mound. And there it was. I don't know. The Cree have a similar story. And so the only time they would have been able to each tell each other stories when they were together, that means they had to be back east, north, by Green Sky Hill when they were a big confederacy. And so this was probably 700-800 years old, this scroll. So
the different symbols of the sun shows like what time it is.
yeah. Good day, bad day. Dark day, bad day. You know, the lines emitting from it here was half a day. Here it was, yeah, 3/4 of a day. And at the end of the day. And then I told you about this here. So he killed these two in rage. Now, the most important thing you can get from this is that the people's behavior and thinking back then hasn't really changed much. We haven't evolved. Our behaviors really haven't evolved a lot. Our thinking, especially the negative part, the jealousy, the rage, the anger, which leads to murderous acts, the infidelity. I think those behaviors, even historically, you look down other ethnic groups, their past, you know, even the Bible, there was, let's see, who was it, King Solomon? No, or King David. He stole another man's wife and sent him to the front line of that battle to be killed. Something like that. You ever heard that story? Yeah.
On the red sky.
Yeah, the red sky. Yeah. I've heard old people say that when the sky is really fully red like that, that means there's a lot of death someplace in the world, because the blood goes to the earth and then it comes up from the ground into the heavens, shows in the sky. The what? It could be. So, well, we know from our creation stories too that the jealousy that went on between Michigani, that he killed my gun because of jealousy and all that stuff, you know. Then, of course, there's biblical stories too, you know, the jealousy and the deaths. So that's what I always got the most out of, is that, gee, we haven't evolved very much. You know, so.
Hazard has a question, but I can't hear what she's trying to say.
What's it?
Why did he only go for the older brother?
What do you mean?
Like, why
Oh,
why did he
oh, he called both of them. He called both of them, but the younger one couldn't swim. And so he tried to get into the lake. Right here, see, or here, over here, yeah. See, he called both of them, get in the canoe, get in the canoe. Because, see, here they are, and they went this way, and the head was coming, but the older brother, got ahead of the little brother and left him. And the little brother stopped, knowing that he couldn't swim. And so the rolling head caught up to him and he kicked it. And so he tried to get into the water more, but this old man was backing up his canoe. And so somewhat to save, I think, this medicine crow, changed this boy into a wolf so he could survive in the woods, while his older brother. So he was, if we look at the whole story of what happened to him and his daughter, he wanted a partner for his daughter, a husband for his daughter, somebody. He didn't want his, when he passed away, he didn't want his daughter to be alone on that island by herself. And so that's why he came. So, but it all worked out. But the little boy had to become a wolf and stay for a while. He probably was gone maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe. Yeah, maybe a year or two more. Yeah. So they stayed on that island 4 or 5 years, I guess. So But he wasn't treated much differently than his daughter, because all she did was work, work, work. So he did the same, so. And I think in the early days, he avoided her, having any conversation with her, or, you know, because all he thought about was his brother getting back. But he didn't have much confidence. He'd been traumatized by what happened with his folks. Their parents were gone, and they had to be resourceful. Of course, the medicine helped them. The magic helped them survive. And he had just to buy his time. So,
I think also what's good about the stories too is that the bonding between the two brothers.
yeah.
The older one taking care of the little one.
Mm.
Like that bonding.
This is her daughter.
Meaning these two are sisters.
Oh, yeah, of course. If something happened to your mom, would you take care of your little sister?
Take care of my little.
Oh. Good.
That's like Anthony and I are brothers. That's why he's protected me because we were young kids. We always were like best friends and then not best friends, but through the years. But that's just brother and sister stuff.
Maybe that old man wasn't so bad after all. He kind of saw in the future to take care of his daughter with the young boy, and then he, in reality, took care of the two boys that were lost without their parents.
Yeah.
And so he might have been grumpy and bitter, but he was wise
Yeah,
in some way.
he wanted to keep the young man there. He wanted to leave, you know, he was going to risk it to try to swim, and he took his clothes. And so, yeah. Then a time had come where the girl just, she didn't, if the boy was really going to leave, she wanted to leave too. So I guess she saw her future with him instead of her dad. So
I think it's interesting how everybody there interprets a different certain part of it to them.
yeah.
Does
Okay.
every reservation, giveaway reservation, like let's say Red Lake, and Leech Lake, and maybe even over in Wisconsin where you got Saginaw, you know, the College Bird. Do they all have their birthmarks girls?
They used to at one time, I would say probably into the late 1700s, because as the colonizers started from the east moving this way, those tribes were assimilated or traumatized earlier than coming out here, you know, just because of progression. But yeah, many of those people, we are different from them in one respect, that we evolved into a plains form of culture, but we retained our woodland culture too. But they were strictly what they called Medeawan. That was their grand medicine lodge, their teaching lodge, their medicine lodge, and they had all these teachings for children on up to adults. They were all formalized about the creation. And they talked about the energy of these plants and different created things, and they were able to, members became very knowledgeable on how to live longer, healthier, but also but we'll talk about that. I'm going to have 2 sessions of the Medeawan. But as our people came out here, and there was very few of us, we aligned with the Cree and the Assiniboine, and I guess the Métis proper. those that followed their mother's side, so to speak, their indigenous side, native side, because there was those Métis that were strict Catholics. They settled down, you know, and those were back like in the middle 1700s. You know, they just followed their father's way, which was led by the church. But anyway, so our people, because of that Confederacy in 1824, and their circumstances around that, that our people were finally welcomed in by the other bands, tribes of the Napeawat, and the Sundance was given to us, along with 10 societies, men and women societies, okay, which made our culture a lot more richer and yeah, a lot more richer. So the Medewan people out east says that you can only belong to, you can't be a Sundancer and belong to the Medewan at the same time. But I know many people who do. What they don't know and understand that our Sundance came from our cousins in the north, the Cree. And it's not like the Dakota or a lot of the other plain Sundances with their formalities and stuff. Okay, so yeah, so and that all happened because of the buffalo again. You know, chasing the buffalo. Now our people encountered the buffalo on the southwest side of Lake Superior for the first time back in the late 1700s. They seen the buffalo. They didn't know how to take them. They never seen them before, you know. So, but as they got to understand from the other tribes that they provided everything, they were such large animals that one buffalo would feed you and your family for a whole month, practically, you know, which offered them, and then the horse too. As our people gained the horse and the guns, and it just, our culture just changed so rapidly. And so, yeah. But the language always stayed basically the same. And, but as far as the scrolls, so the Medewan has their own set of scrolls within their lodge. And those scrolls have to do with historical references, histories, but also has to do with the lodge itself. There's what they call 8 grand scrolls, and each of the grand scrolls are talk about different the different levels or degrees. There's 8 degrees in the Medewan. And the first one is that you're initiated and you become one, and it shows you the animal and talks to you about that, that first animal. It could be a weasel, or it could be a mink. But then it climbs up to like a lynx for the 2nd degree. 3rd degree is your beaver. Your 4th degree is your bear. And then it gets up higher. But your knowledge, it becomes greater because you're taught different things by different masters. Okay, those are the scrolls. And then there's a whole different amount of scrolls that have to do with teaching scrolls. And so those are kept by storytellers, grand storytellers, and also they're also record keepers for the bands of the different events or that happen to the people. And so stories are picked that have unique teachings in them that allows them to teach their children and others about them, their history. So this has many different aspects in it, different levels of knowledge, and also teaches you the good and the bad about life. You know, so one can debate, and we have debated on a collegiate level, the duties of a wife. Why did she sway away from him? Well, it kept coming back. The man is a workaholic, so to speak. He's never around. If he's such a good hunter, why can't he take a day off, be with his family, take his boys with him because they're old enough, you know? And so she's lonely. He's tired when he gets home. There's no affection. There might be love, but it's not enough, you know? So those are things that can be debated. So, so you have different ones. Well, that he's making a living, you know, the guy said he's making his living, you know, they're living a good life, but only because he's working awfully hard. Well, the Creator teaches us how to live a modest life, not a good life. So, so these are teaching scrolls, and so, yeah. So every nation, so the Ojibwa, actually they say, well, that means Bungi, just a little bit. But actually, when the three fires came and the people were split up into different nations, the Potawatomi, they were given different duties. They say that the Ojibwa were to be record keepers, keep the history and records of things. So, no, I've been around to the different reservations over time, and we've had similar things like I'm doing now. And they basically, when the reservations were made and the people were forced onto the reservations, in no time at all, in less than a decade, they went around and started gathering up these kind of things, bundles, sacred bundles, different artifacts, and they collected them and destroyed them. They didn't want these people to have a record of their beginning or anything. And so they wanted to wipe them like a clean slate so they could rebuild them for assimilation. So a lot of these were hid. They were destroyed. The only ones remaining are ones that were sold or they're in museums. So I've been asked to bring back or do more with some of the tribes back east, and some have asked me to leave the scrolls if they could, and I said, no, I can't leave them. They go where I go. So I've actually taught my granddaughter how to read these. There's other ones that I'm going to introduce to you are a little bit more difficult because there's not, but remember, in all things they're mnemonic. So I've done a vast study on this pictograph writing and how it came to our people and where it came from. And at some point in time this winter, I'm going to show you what I've learned and where all these came from. The writing, the form of writing pictograph or symbolic writing. So we'll have that. That's been developed into a big PowerPoint. So yeah, that's what I had started a doctoral thesis on. I never finished it. So yeah.
Find it interesting also the husband working all the time and the kids, and the mother became wayward in a sense, that the sense of balance wasn't there.
Yeah.
In a family, that's so important in a family, is balance. But that's something you're constantly trying to achieve.
Well, one of the interesting things pointed out by one of the people, they didn't live in a village. They lived a little ways away out of the village. So she was somewhat isolated. And he wanted to be closer to the hunt. Didn't have to go. He made it convenient for his. So there was no socialization. You know, there might have been a time she might have taken her sons into the village to visit with her aunts or uncles or parents, you know, a lot of the other boys, but you know, she might have met somebody and who found her interesting and charming, and you know. So I mean, I don't think it all starts right suddenly. It starts slowly by deception, by putting something into the head, you know. And then, you know, if it locks into those feelings in the brain, then it can be fed manipulation. So anyway, he became a good hunter because it gave him what do you call it? It gave him his ego, because it stoked his ego. People praised him. He liked that attention. A man likes that attention, to be a good provider. You know, it's something tangible, where a woman maybe is more closely related to something of the heart, emotional. Right? You think? I don't know. Well, but that's not everybody. I mean, you know, we see the statistics today about women, they've actually outpacing men. So,
Well, and interesting enough too, how the children know they learn by both parents, but they're being neglected.
they're at the center of things usually.
Right, and so they have formed this bond.
All right. That's all they have. Yeah.
That's all they have, is each other,
Yeah.
because both parents are just not focused on them, they're focused on being charming.
And they have a new family. I mean, the young woman is going to be like a mother and a caregiver to them. And, you know, so they have, it's all worked out in their favor that way too, you know, so. Yeah. Sometimes our detours in the path are, may start out with being scary and unsure, but sometimes they all work out. Makes us more mature. Yeah. Oh,
Based on Marl's death, so I had some questions online about things that you about. Some people thought it was holding a feast
no.
ceremony.
We're going to be talking about feast, actual feast, the offering of food, and why our people got together for meals, feasts, and also ceremony. So becoming a tribal people is probably one of the most important aspects of an extended family as a tribe. Now, the Little Shell doesn't have a reservation. They have family groups, and they've kept strong as family groups. But as far as a community, that's something that's been really lacking. And I guess I didn't have to come over here to really know that. I think people have already known that. And so feast and ceremonies is paramount about bringing the people back together, creating community, a sense of tribe, a sense of something we have in common. And we have actually close to 30 events during the year, a time to hold feasts and ceremony, or both. There's that many times we have come together. It shows the closeness of the group. It shows the culture, the societal thinking, the behaviors, responsibilities. It's actually builds a greater cohesive group. We're all heading towards something, and it follows very closely what we have previously discussed about the 7 teachings, the importance of the 7 teachings, and it allows the group to function well when the 7 teachings are in place, and to actually, those are the building stones to becoming a good functioning tribal group, you know. So there's 2 sessions, and we will basically talk about all these ceremonies, all these feasts during the course of a calendar year that happen. Every moon, this happens, this happens. Some of them can happen at any time of the year, a few of them, but others are very, have to do with the period of the solstice, of the quarters of the year at the same time, you know, during the seasons, the 4 seasons. So it's all, it's going to be another interesting presentation. And we'll talk about the young people's role, how important they were, and the old people's role. And, you know, everybody had a role. And we commonly think, okay, when it's time to eat, the old people go first. Okay, well, that's true. But it's, oh, no, an elder is an elder. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. There was amongst the Anishinaabe, there's a form of pluralcy. Means both have rights, equal standing. It is not a man's world of sense in the Anishinaabe world. There is no man's world. Man had his realm, women had their important equal realm, and for the greater part, they shared equally responsibilities. There was no, oh, the men are on top and the women on bottom. No, it was not that way at all. And in some cases in the old days, in the very old days, the women, the old matriarchs, are the one that chose the speakers who became the chiefs. And sometimes the women were the chiefs. But it was the old ladies, the old matriarchs of the clans that chose them. So Okama, which means chief, doesn't actually mean chief at all. Interpret it, actually, Okama means I belong to her. It refers to your standing, your parent. This one guides you, this one leads you. But it refers to her, not him. So the children say, I belong to mom. You have to ask her if I can have this or if I can go with you. You have to ask mom, not the dad. Have to ask mom. Because for a time, the parent is in charge of the children until they reach a certain age of the rites of passage. Then that's relinquished. So I've always thought men don't have a right to be called. The only time they have a right to be called a chief if all the people of the tribe, all their community say so. And but otherwise, in the traditional form, in the old way, it was and we'll bring that out on another presentation before Christmas. So, but yeah. So, yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about, feast ceremonials. And also towards the end of the second presentation, we're going to talk about medicine bundles. What is a medicine bundle and what is it comprised of? And why is it sacred? Then we'll talk about a clan bundle. We'll talk about a tribal medicine bundle in general. Okay. And so that's open knowledge. That's something that shouldn't be hidden. But not to say I'm going to bring my medicine bundle here and open it for everybody to see or handle. No, I'm not saying that, but people have different, want to know what is how can they make a medicine bundle or what is a medicine bundle, but it could be a medicine suitcase. A bundle is just a container, a bag, so to speak, has your sacred items in there, those that you pray with, you petition with, things like that. Maybe your sweet grass, your sage, maybe a pipe, maybe a rattle, maybe a drum, I don't know. Maybe some medicines to keep you well. That could all be put in a medicine bundle, see. So you kind of keep everything together. So that's not, that can be all taught. So yeah, just like a woman, she'll put together her hope chest. Did your mom have a hope chest for you? You know what a hope chest is? So when you become a woman, that time your mother's put away things for you. Maybe a little sewing kit, maybe a special blanket, a special pillow, maybe a special necklace she's going to pass on to you, maybe a new pair of moccasins, maybe a makeup kit, something. See, that's a hope chest for their daughter, something like that. Hey, yeah. So, yeah. So men do that for their boys too, want to pass some things down to their son or something. And so these all have special meaning for our people too. We have things, bundles passed down. So, yeah. Okay. So that's what the event's going to be about. We're going to talk about that. And I hope that in the calendar year coming up, we can successfully complete most of those feasts and ceremonies, most of them. I know there's a few that we won't do because the community isn't ready. So, yeah, but a lot of them. So,
They're gonna be at the rec center.
no, no, I think we'll do it here. After the 17th, we're done with the, I think we can go back to the event center after the 17th. So, really? Oh, wow, that'll only take a day. All the boxes. But yeah. But we'll let everybody know. Oh,
So another announcement we have too, we did announce that we were gonna have a wellness powwow at the end of the year. It has been renamed to just the All Families Wellness Gathering. It's not gonna be a full-fledged powwow, but we do expect to have music and dancing. We're still gonna have a feast.
some games.
Games, fry bread contest. We invite everyone to come out. That will be on the 31st from 1 to 6
Hmm.
is what it's for, or when it's running to. So everyone please come out and have a good time.
You're gonna also have tickets, what do you call those?
50-50 drawing.
Yes, 50-50 Johns and stuff, so.
And proceeds of that will go to the powwow fund, Rochelle Powwow Fund. So
Oh. Yeah. Big feast, a lot of food. But you guys are cooking the bullets. Yeah. And if you bring your fry bread. Whoever wins the fry bread contest gets $50 and a trophy with a big fry bread, actually a metal fry bread on it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Make some fry bread. Never know.
we will be hosting 2 ribbon skirt making classes in the beginning of January. The specific dates will be on our Facebook. If you go to Little Shell Tribal Health Facebook page, Marge Johnson will be conducting those classes. We have 2 classes. One's on a Thursday and the other one's on a Saturday. Trying to get 2 different groups of people. Some people don't have to work during the week. Some people are free on the weekends or whatnot. So we're trying to appease 2 different groups. So we'll have 2 different classes. We'll be taking 6 people for each class. You have to show us a tribal ID and just tell me what class you want to be put in. First come, first serve. You can email me your information at t.wilmore, WILMORE @lstribe.com or .org, pardon me.
Okay. Okay. How many people on Zoom? Thank you. I was very good. It was a good lesson about the husband, wife, and lack of. We have to learn to one another, perhaps the road of them and children would have been different.
And then the first, we will talk about just fabric and your colors and measure. How to measure yourself to know how much fabric.
Yeah, everything's provided. No. Well, I don't know if I should go and get in my canoe right now and float back to the island. Oh, look at this, Richard.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say thank you.
Come on, come
for
on.
joining us tonight.
Really?
Good night and stay warm.
No, I'm not a budge.
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. More for us then.